now?
Hello, we are group number 4 and we chose the Farandole French dance to do our project. So the use of the Farandole French dance in contemporary film and music, it's been used in film and music starting in the 1940s. Many groups have usually taken the dance or the music from the dance and remastered it and used it as their own. So the first appearance was in a film called One Night in the Tropics that was filmed in 1940. The very end, like the closing scene of the movie, is a traditional singing and dancing of the Farandole. In 1975, a musician named Bob James did a rendition of the traditional Farandole dance in a jazz funk style that eventually was displayed on his album, and that album went on to be #2 on the jazz album charts for that year. And then in the 80s, Billy Sheehan performed a rock cover of the original Farandole dance, the music to it. And then in 2015, a professional orchestra performed George Bizet's Farandole piece at Carnegie Hall. So the first picture on the top left is from the film One Night in the Tropics. And then the bottom is George Bizet's music being performed by an orchestra at Carnegie Hall.
The culture and country of origin. So the Farandole dance originated in France and usually involved dancers from provinces of France to form a chain by linking of hands with red handkerchiefs. The dance is typically like one of a form of celebration. So like you'd see it normally whenever you'd get married or when someone gave birth or anniversaries. And you typically also see the married couple leading the dance until the group was big enough and you'd see like everyone in a giant circle. Kind of like how you see little kids dancing, like prancing around. You can also see some similarity between the Farandole and the Carmagnole. The dance usually associated with the French Revolution.
Okay, so the history of the dance, it originated in France, but it is a descent of the ancient Grecian crane that came out of Homer's story Theseus. Has a controversial date of origin from all back in the ancient times to medieval and in the French Renaissance. It's originally in moderate tempo and 6/8 time, played by a pipe and a tabor, which is a flute and a drum, and dancers hold each other's hands with a handkerchief. It's a celebration for births, weddings, and anniversaries, and it's led by chain leaders who are the newest married couple of the group.
The dance attire, large groups of dancers would gather in traditional folk clothes. They would be dressed in colorful fabrics with elaborate designs to show their happiness, joy, and solidarity. Women would wear a long dress with a bib, apron, gloves, and a headdress made with embroidered ribbons called a liron, typical to the French part of the region. Men would typically wear semi-long trousers with a white coat and sleeve, and both would wear simple leather shoes to protect their feet while they danced on cobblestones. Since this was a celebratory dance, it would be their best clothes, not traditional like what they would wear every day, but they would spend a good amount of money just to have some fancy clothes for this celebration.
So for the typical instrumentation, from what I found, there's 2 different variations. There's the more traditional ones you'd see at a wedding, and it's much more of a festival environment. And typically these would just be flutes and piccolos with super basic drums for percussion. And it creates a very folky sound, almost something that you would hear at like a state fair today. And then there's the orchestral environment, where the instrumentation is much grander and more complex. The best example is George Bizet's Farandole piece, and it's super dramatic, and it's a full orchestra with the main melody being carried by the violin, flute, and piccolo, and it strikes a very interesting balance between dramatic and this whimsical theme, as the flutes and the piccolo often trade phrases with the violins.
All right, so there's a couple different theories that I saw on what the Farandole dance symbolizes. One was that that the spiral pattern of the dance, as you can see in the picture, represents the path of the Minoan labyrinth that Theseus navigated through to slay the Minotaur in a Greek mythology story. Another is that the dance represents the soul leaving the body, because they believe that when someone died, the soul had to navigate a maze through the body before it exited. Another one is that, it just represents a snake or a serpent.
Ellison Blair wasn't able to make it, so I'll be presenting her slide for her. The societal purpose is used in celebrations such as weddings, births, and anniversaries. It is used in Val d'Ire to honor the patron saint Blaise during the festival. It was a traditional that the most newlywed couples would start off the dance. There were two major farandoles known as the Bulgarian Korvad and the Serbian Kolo. All women in the city would participate. This dance was very popular in the 1890s. The farandole dance had to travel in a clockwise formation to discourage evil behavior and face toward the center, so they believed in the Middle Ages.
So here are the sources for each slide, etc., etc. And then the list of each of the slides made by our team members. Thank you.
Thank you.